pre-market live stream, I said the Fed just flipped, and it has. And I'm going to show you the data. I'm going to show you the quotes. And of course, also round you up with everything else that's going on in the world, because quite a lot's going on in the world. And then we've got something big and juicy to look forward to both tomorrow and the day after. So we're going to do exactly that in that order. I'm going to share my screen with you, smash the you-know-what, and here we are. Where is Winston and his human? We made it here finally. This is important. And this is what both stock markets and bond markets are screaming right now. And if I take you back to a sweet, sweet place where only a short few weeks or months ago, we thought we were going to get about 10 rate cuts. So that would have been minus 2.5% down in the interest rates. Now we're expecting only about 5 and a bit cuts. So our little cut journey here seems to be cut in half. And what does that mean? Well, it's bad for stocks. Very, very simple. But hair poofy, yes. Rather humid here today. That's what happens to my hair. So we also have the Fed talking, and then we're going to look at some data here, and that's Musalem warns against easing too quickly, prefers patience. What a luxury this man wishes for. Patience. Who's got patience in a day, age like this? I don't have any patience. You have any patience? Fed's Kugler calls for a balanced approach. And he's monitoring the hurricane. I hope you're in Florida. I hope you're sound and safe with all your creatures and everything. It must be quite, how do you move like livestock and stuff? That's, I guess, the real problem, isn't it? That must be kind of a bit challenging. Afro hairstyle today. Aruna, your hair does the same. Yeah, mine does. It's like lots of humidity and it goes, when people say you want more volume, well, get my hair, and you don't need more volume. So here's the actual quote from the Fed's Musalem, which is an unusual name, isn't it? What does Musalem look like? We're going to have to look that up in a second, which of course is incredibly un-PC. We shouldn't question such things where people might hail from. It is a very unusual name, if you ask me. I never heard it before in my life. Anyway, Musalem is saying he won't predict the timing or the size of future Fed eating, but the cost of easing too much outweighs easing too little. So he's basically saying, ease off a little bit. Ease off the easing, that's what he's saying. And the market doesn't like that. Kugler says only additional rate cuts if inflation continues down. We're getting inflation data. When do we get it? Wednesday, exactly. And if there's downside risk to employment escalates, cutting rates might be appropriate. If the income data does not provide confidence inflation is moving to target, slowing may be appropriate. He wants a balanced approach. All that nonsense that we don't want to hear, right? We want him to say big rate cuts coming in. Dr. Z is upset about the clickbait. My dear friend, how do you make it past the news agent? It must be terribly upsetting. You've got to realize that YouTube is a tabloid, my friend. If you want to get people to watch the content, which is what my intention is, otherwise we have bugger all impact, you've got to give them a headline that might jolt them out of their seat. And then after that, I can torture you with Fed quotes and charts from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and do the kind of in-depth stuff that I like to do. But if I put that on the tin, then nobody will come. So it is just the way it is. So, don't get your knickers in a twist on a bit of clickbait. So anyway, it is actually appropriate. It is actually descriptive of what's going on. So before the rate cuts we just had, post-Fed 50 basis point rate cuts expectations, we lived in a beautiful la-la land where rates would come down significantly. Duffy the video slayer. If you get that reference, you're giving away your age. Oh dear. Freezing. Oh dear. It still says excellent connection. Alrighty, so I'll run through this. You'll have to watch the replay, my friends. Sachs will figure it out one way or the other. But I'll keep going because on the replay it'll show up properly. So that's important. Equally important is that we make money. We're up 94% so far this year. If you want to learn how we do that, well, there is one very, very simple solution. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which should be good for pretty much everybody in the US. Anybody in Asia? You Europeans, it's the middle of your night. Nothing I can do about that. Come and join me at felixprehn.org/training, and I'll teach you. I'll teach you literally how we do this little feat, what our trading rules are, and everything else. So stream is back for some reason. It's weird. We get these 1-minute cutouts. I don't know why. I'll get onto it. Right. So we have to get moving on. Now, I thought twice about showing you this because I wasn't sure if you could handle it. Okay. Move is the fear of the bond market. And I do think you can handle it. I think you deserve to understand how the market actually works. The bond traders are the smarter of us, right? I was never a bond trader. You know, I'm an equity guy, options guy, derivatives guy. I'm not a bond trader. They are very, very smart. I had some friends who were bond traders. They were far too clever for me. A little bit dull, but also very clever. And when the fear goes up in the bond markets, it's typically a little bit of a precursor of fear in our world because we're a little bit more slow-witted than the bond traders. So watch this, because that's a pretty significant move that we've just seen here from down here all the way out to up there. That's a pretty big spike. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And you know all that talk about small caps going to the roof? So get what reference? I was frozen. Okay, I'm sorry about that, Stacey. You'll have to watch the replay. It's the only thing I can promise, really. So anyway, small caps, right? So small caps are meant to go to the moon, right? According to Tom and all of that. Well, they only go to the moon with big rate cuts. At the moment, we're expecting less cuts. So that's kind of sour, really. And then look at this. US Small Business Sentiment Survey, earnings trends. And you see that, yeah, it's just horrible, isn't it? Look at that line there. It's just awful. So kind of hard to see why small caps are going to explode if you look at this. I mean, we're literally, where are we in terms of earnings expectations? We're in the sort of glumness of 2008, seriously. So as I've been saying for the last year and a half, I think part of the economy are in a recession. Manufacturing and the real world, just not the big tech stocks and everything else. And then there's all that government spending. So this is the average interest paid on short-term loans by small businesses. They are paying, wait for it, 9.5%. And that is enough to kill pretty much any small business. And that's literally as bad as 2006, 2000, sort of the real like boom years when, interest rates were high. So unless they do cut, they will destroy the small business. But then maybe that's the intention, right? It could be a feature. It might not be a bug, right? I mean, who influences US policy? It's large corporations, right? They give all the money. It's not the small ones. So maybe that is literally the intention. Anders, you're not getting Trade Vision emails, my friend. Have you checked your spam folder? If you haven't, still going to get them. Please send us a message because you should be getting them. Also, come and join me tomorrow for our live trading training at 9 p.m. Eastern time. For about 90 minutes or so. So I'll be singing you to sleep. That's the intention. No, the intention is to teach you and show you what our rules are that have gotten us up 94 glorious % so far this year. We are here. We started there. So we added $28,000 on a $30,000 portfolio, being probably the laziest I've ever been as a trader this year. There is more also, of course, Israel. And this is a little bit what the market's on the edge for. We were talking yesterday about it, how we're worried that they might strike Iranian oil facilities and Iran might then strike Kuwaiti facilities or even Saudi facilities. And then the oil price would go from 80, wherever it is right now, to 120. That's sort of the fear, which would cause inflation, which would mean interest rates will never come down. So all the small businesses close down and the stock market, as a tantrum. But the Israeli defense minister is traveling to the US on Wednesday, tomorrow, which I would say is probably a sign of a more moderate affair because he's consulting with the US, who's definitely not a fan of destroying the oil installations in Iran because it'll cause inflation and it'll make it harder to get re-elected. That's kind of what I think about, isn't it? Internet connection jokes are appropriate, but it's not the connection, you see. It must be something else. If there are any tech nerds on here, then let me know. I've reset everything. I've done the IP config thing. I've started the router again. We have fiber, so it's insanely quick. It works perfectly until the minute I turn on the stream. And then about every 5 minutes, we lose a little bit of data. And then it's excellent again. So there's something really weird going on there. I'll try to figure out what it is. Defense is the best form of attack. I still have a loading circle above my head. Maybe I am an algorithm, and that's really who I am. Felix finally unmasked as AI. Here is the pre-market, not looking too bad. Oil coming down a little bit. Of course, I set up an oil trade yesterday. But, you know, we'll see. That's just probably the lack of stimulus coming out of China. I think that's probably what's done that. So we'll see what happens over there. Other than that, most things are doing all right. Qualcomm's down a little bit here, 1.5% down. Caterpillar's down a bit. I'm not sure why that is, to be honest, but AXP is also down 1.5%, but everything else looks pretty decent. Tesla back in the green after yesterday's misery. Lots of Fed presidents speaking today. Bauman, Kashkari, Bostic, Musalem, Kugler. It's like you can't stop them from blabbering and blithering on. And tomorrow, same sort of thing. Everyone's talking again. But what really is going to move the week, Thursday, core inflation data, FOMC minutes, all at the same time. Hang on. What time zone is that in? Okay. That's what I thought. It's not on New York time. FOMC is Wednesday. Yes. Is that right? 10 p.m.? Can't be right. It's UTC -4, isn't it? That's what New York is. So let's try that again. 2 p.m. on Wednesday, FOMC minutes, indeed. And on Thursday, we get inflation data out and jobless claims. So that inflation data is probably more important than ever now because we are really back to will they cut, won't they cut? And it's like a soap opera, isn't it? We keep running the same theme again and again, but that's what moves the market. Go Wyatt, says Lost in PKK. Okay, we could try that. I mean, it's always worked till 2 days ago, but yeah, we could plug in a cable. That's definitely an option. Cat 7 cable is shielded. Yeah, something weird going on there. Okay, appreciate that. Stan, any other tech ideas? Let me know. Buffering might be anywhere in the network. What are your computer specs? Processor issue. I doubt that's it, to be honest with you. Hang on. We're going to do a little bit of tech stuff here, aren't we? Let me pull that up. What is this computer, to be honest with you? We have I'll share it with you. We have an Intel Core i7 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM. There is an Nvidia GPU in this thing, which is what's meant to be driving all of this. How do we look that up? Nvidia control panel, perhaps? You get to see the insides of me here today. What have we got? Does it say? No. Information. There we go. A GeForce RTX 3080 is what we've got. So yes, 18 gig of RAM on that one, I think. So if that helps anybody, give me some ideas, do let me know. Be eternally grateful because it's super irritating if the stream doesn't work properly. The modem. I mean, that's a job from the Wi-Fi people. Basically, we've got 4 of them around the house. They're everywhere. More RAM. Okay. Floating, you're super kind. Some improvement potential. I appreciate that. Thank you for the free IT advice. I appreciate that. I mean, it's weird because it worked literally until like 2 days ago, right? So there's obviously something weird going on here. I tried to reset everything, but there we are. Let's have a little bit of a look at pre-market here. Did we get any buys yesterday? Yeah, BAC, Bank of America. Actually, the Nasdaq, even though it's down 1% yesterday, still on our buy list. AMD also slightly up. See if there's anything big up here yesterday. Nothing major. Anything we screamed run on? Apple. And on Trade Vision, we've beaten Apple, I mean, to a mush. Buy and hold at 23% over the last year and a half. We did 49%. So when we say exit, think about it. Obviously, not financial advice. Verizon, we said. 3M, we said run. Anything else big? Nothing major here that jumps out at me. But yeah, we are definitely a little bit more cautious. Most things are saying hold or neutral right now. We're, of course, hoping for Tesla to knock it out of the park on the 10th. That's probably the event of the week, isn't it? Reboot the modem. Yeah, I could do that. That's in another room. That's an idea, John. I appreciate that as well. I haven't done that. I could just plug that out for 10 minutes and leave it or something. Is RAM's low? 16 GB RAM, but isn't that just the that's just the Nvidia card, isn't it? That isn't actually the overall RAM, is it? Is it the overall RAM? Hang on. What did we have on the? Oh, you're right. Yeah, there isn't a lot of RAM in this thing. Yeah, quite right. It's true. It's true. It's all hanging on the Nvidia thingy majiggy. He's not gaming, but actually streaming is kind of similar, right? Streaming is almost similar to gaming, which is really why you have to buy gaming laptops and stuff to be able to do this. But this is a desktop. Okay, right. Try the cable switch. Okay, I'll try to do that. Cable and we'll reboot stuff tomorrow. Nvidia is up to 130. Okay, let's have a look at NVDA on here. Sure. First of all, we have nothing. Basically, we are neutral. We have managed to beat Nvidia buy and hold, which is a super hard thing to do given how that's rallied. If you go on the advanced chart again, this is Trade Vision down here, tradevision.io, links down below. Then one thing you can see is, what are we trading at? 130.31. You can see where the resistance sits from positions here. And it kicks off at 130. 131 is the real strength and fizzles out above 132 for this week. So you got to get over 131. We didn't manage it yesterday, surprise, surprise, because we blew out at pretty much exactly 131. That also happens to be the mid-August high. So until it breaks through that, I would honestly do bugger all. But it is a resistance. So you got to have, I believe you got to have exit rules, and you got to have a point where you maybe sell half the position or something like that. That's one way I might approach it. We're still above the 50-day, so you could just set a stop loss at, I don't know, 113 or something like that and just go to bed. You're good. If you obviously bought much lower. If you haven't, watch it. All right. Okay. All right. We're gonna dive deep in here. Memory. Oh yeah, it's using 70% actually. It's quite a lot. GPU is good, but memory is it's a little heavily used, but not to the extent that it should cripple us, I would have thought. But I think it's something weird with the connection. That's kind of my feeling. But yeah, thanks very much, Danzo. So you can let me know what you make of that. Tesla. Yeah, we can definitely have a look at Tesla. Let's have a look at Tesla here. Having a nice pre-morning here. we're up ever so slightly. Here is Tesla, which, by the way, is down 41% since the beginning of 2022. Buy and hold, right? If you traded it, 81% up, potentially, of course. Past performance isn't, future and all that kind of thing. So what do you see when you look at that chart here? Yeah, a little bit of a not beautiful dip. We want to take out the 260 highs here. If we look on the more advanced chart, then what do you see? Well, you see that we have a bucket of resistance for the week at 250. So if you were to move this line up to 250 here, that's it. And look at where our highs were for the last 4 trading sessions. It's almost as if this matters. It does. So you might want to get yourself the access to the data. Just go to tradevision.io. It's test it for a week. See if you like it. It's risk-free. So that's really the thing, 250. So far we're going sideways. Not a bad sideways, but just going sideways, which is really what we don't want. But I suspect we're going to continue to go sideways now until the robotaxi event, because it's sort of a pattern here. Okay, we can have a look at a few other stocks here, sort of in the order that they were thrown in. Caterpillar, there it is. Selling off pre-market a little, but it has had a beautiful run here. We called it a buy at 355, which is definitely a good call. So what do I do? What would I do if I had bought it here? I'll tell you what I'll do. What I would do. I would literally, at the bottom of this sideways section here, I would draw a trend line, connect 3 points, right, approximately there. And what I would then do is I'd set up a stop loss slightly below that. 50 cents below that or something like that. And that's why I take profits. Very simple. And that way I'd make money. And if we go higher and higher, then that's fine. We can adjust it. We can do that. But you want to make sure that your winners never become losers. It's such an important thing to do. SoFi, we can definitely look at the shiny blue one, SoFi. And decent 833, but nothing's changed. Resistance is at 850. That big green candle there is resistance. That is, I'll show you, how many calls is that? 34,682 to be precise. That's a huge number of positions, and they stop us from going up. Bastards. So be lovely if we manage to form a slightly higher high than here in the midst of September. So it's going all right. Nothing wrong with it. It's just like there is some resistance here at 850, which we've had for absolute ages. If you go back in the chart here, right, we haven't managed to meaningfully break out of that for over a year. And I'm quite happy with that, to be honest with you. The longer this thing goes sideways, in my opinion, the bigger the run up when we do finally get it. Floating, you want to look at buyer? We have buyer on here. I don't think we do, but I can show it to you on a normal chart. The one listed in India or the one listed in the German market? Let's look at the German one. What did you say? Is it a death cross? Is that what you said? Or golden cross? Golden cross. 50 crossing 150 is good. It's about to cross the 200, which is also good. But it's still connect the highs. That's what I'd always do. So and it's always a zone, right? It's never precise. So you have this kind of zone here from there, and then at the bottom end you have that here, right? So that's your resistance zone. You've been bouncing in that for ages, and then you want to get a meaningful breakout out of it. And get that with a lot of oomph and a lot of volume, right? So did we have that? Well, breaking here through the 50-day, that was quite a nice one. Breaking through the 200, that was a good one. Quite a lot of volume there. but we fizzled out a little bit since. So I suspect you're going to get a nice opportunity of a bit of a rebound of the moving average line. So it'll be a retest, and then you can see whether you break out of that resistance zone. So right now, I wouldn't do anything with it, to be honest with you, but that's just me. I would wait for it to get a bit more push there. Neil Wood, get a new computer. Yeah, if I thought I would solve it, I would get one tomorrow. Neil, I suspect it's more to do with some sort of buffer in the modem or something. I'll throw it out of the window right after the stream. Microsoft, yeah, just look at the simple chart here. So first of all, that's done not that much. It's up 26% the last year and a half. We did 32% by trading it, which is at least, 6% beat, which is half decent. And what have you got? Well, you've got that sort of thing going on here, right? One low, another low, another low. So we might bounce off it. That's sort of the hope. If you look at a bit more of a sophisticated chart, because you're a sophisticated investor, then you look at our advanced chart, and you get there by clicking on the thing in the top right here that says, see the more sophisticated chart. I'm a sophisticated investor. You always have to say both. And what did we paint in here? A box that represented resistance, as they say in the God's chosen country. And that resistance came from these green bars here. Is that still there? Well, this week, arguably it is. In fact, it's arguably actually moved somewhat lower to start at about 41750. So it's not pretty. We've broken through the yellow line here, that 50-day moving average, which is sad. So we're not in a happy place right now. I would argue, I think, where are the next moving averages? 150 is there, 200 is there. So we've dropped below all of them. So yeah, it's not good. It's not really good. So you're kind of just hoping that the previous support levels will hold at sort of 400 really at this point. Ring ding along. Okay, apparently my RAM is low. Well, we can do something about that. Yeah, we are using. Yeah, you're right. We're using a cache and stuff as well. So, okay, we'll get some RAM. We'll get some RAM tomorrow. Cloudflare is sinking. Yeah, the whole Chinese stocks rally sort of seemed to have slowed down a bit today. Imperial Brands had a nice run today. If anybody is in tobacco stocks, I always say tobacco stocks are a wonderful thing. Incredibly unethical and incredibly profitable here. Philip Morris had such a beautiful run since it broke out up here. You see that breakout there? Glorious. And right now it's saying take profits. That's what I would say. At least it's what it's saying to me. Shall we have a look at anything in live market? Maybe like a Tesla. Have a look at the first exciting minutes of the day. Wow, look at that. Look at that. 1% up in the first 2 minutes. Must be something that Elon tweeted. Who watched that 60 Minutes interview yesterday with Kamala? My entire Twitter feed, X feed, is all about that woman for some reason. Danzo, thanks for the tips. I've got a lovely IT chap who'll come and do it. He'll buy it and he'll install it. Safer that way. Actually, I built my first PC, but I was 14 at the time. I now leave it to other people to do that sort of dirty work. Nvidia is also up 1.8%, taking the QQQ with it, 0.4% up. What about Microsoft, who we're just looking at, and flat? Amazon, basically flat. Anything else? LLY, fat drugs, going up. Yay. PLTR. We'd forgotten about that little stock today. Another 1.5% up, 39.49, which is a pretty sweet start to the day, I would say. Did you see? I mean, they are obviously heavily involved in Israel, right? They're actually advertising for staff to join them in Israel to literally be the hand of whatever. I don't know what the language is that they use over there, but you know, you get the idea. I built PCs for fun. I used to do that as a teenager. It was quite fun at the time. I did enjoy it. And I figured out the margins the guys were making assembling it, which was, I don't know, $200 at the time or something, which I could save by buying all the components. SMCI. Ooh, what happened there? That's a bit ugly, isn't it? Bit ugly. Doesn't really say why. Well, 2% down. It's not as bad as it looks. It's a minute chart, folks, so don't get too excited. If you look on a day chart, it looks like this, but still, let me zoom in a bit more. It hit the 50-day moving average line here, and it's coming back down. Let me have a look at what trends as Trade Vision is saying about SMCI. It's saying don't touch it. So Hood, we can have a look at Hood. Hood, up 9% since the beginning of 2021. If you'd used our little indicator, you'd be up 51%. Check it out. Tradevision.io, links down below. So we called that a buy. I shall take credit for the AI here at $21.84. We're trading at $24 right now. Exactly the previous high here. And that one and this one is sort of in the same kind of resistance zone, I would argue. If we go on to the sophisticated chart, then what do we see? Well, we see this sort of triple top pattern here, right? So we have a chance to break free. I want to break free. You may start singing. And is that going to happen? It might. There is a bit of resistance, though, from 24 to 25. So a little bit of a challenging environment there for Robinhood, boys in the hood. So there we are. Come and join me tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for a 90-minute or so beginner live trading training. We're going to have some fun. I'll break down for you how we're literally up 94% so far this year at felixprehn.org/training. And it's free. Did I mention that? Why do we do it? I kind of hope that we'll make 1 million people financially free and that we have this massive or even massiver happy community of people, which we already do. VIX trade up 66%. Congratulations, my friend. How's Tattooed Chef going? I don't know. I don't really look at that stuff, to be honest with you. So there we are. I appreciate you tuning in. I apologize for the slightly dodgy stream in the first 10 minutes of this. It seems to have done all right. Neil says 9 p.m. is my bedtime. Maybe you'll get an exception. I'll write you a note if you like, Neil, if that helps. Hand it in to your wife. And I love you for tuning in. See you tomorrow.